Dimitri De Jonghe, welcome. You are core developer at BigchainDB.
That's right, yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about what BigchainDB is?
I can. BigchainDB tries to marry big data with blockchain. So we start from a very scalable core, a very scalable big data database core, and then we blockchainify it.
So you blockchainify it.
Yeah. So
you have to explain that one.
Well, blockchain isn't for us. It's an adjective. It means it has several properties that can be applied to existing tools.
Such as?
We identified 3 properties. One of them is immutability, making sure nothing write once, delete never, append only, the DVD-R version. The other one is the ability to have assets. Assets are basically, it's in the form of transactions, it has somebody signing off on an asset, it has identity through private key management or whatever, cryptographically proven identity. That's the second thing. And the most important thing is decentralized control. This means that not one instance is a bottleneck for control. A bottleneck meaning if it gets hacked, everything gets erased or he has control over one thing. No, it's decentralized control, meaning all of the nodes in the system are independent of each other. Together, they form a set of rules. They share the truth, but not one instance by itself can change the rules or delete the truth.
Okay, so are these solutions always public accessible solutions?
So in our case, we're in an open source environment. We work, everything is on GitHub. You can play with it as it is, you can fork it, you can contribute, whatever. I think for having blockchain-ified technologies to be successful, they have to be open source because they have to be shared amongst collaborators in an ecosystem federation, or maybe on a public open infrastructure. So there is this kind of need to be transparent because people want to know what are the rules. If I cannot comply with the rules, I want to know what are the rules. And in the case of blockchain and software technology, those rules are typically encoded. So only providing documentation is not enough there.
Okay. Are you married to one particular type of blockchain in your solutions?
Yes and no. Of course, I have to promote my product BigchainDB, but we realize we're only one small part of the stack. In our vision, the stack is a legacy development stack augmented with blockchain decentralized technologies. So you have platform, you'll have computing and processing, you'll have file storage, you'll have databases, and now you also have eCash, eGold. And they all have to interplay with each other. And there has to be a way for BigchainDB to be successful, it needs to interoperate with all the others. So that's why I co-chair this, it's a protocol work group, it's called Interledger, and it's all about standardization of messages. It's a bit like what they did back in the days with the IP protocol. They now bring it to the blockchain. So instead of transmitting value over the internet, information over the internet, we're now transmitting value over the internet. And it's in very similar hopping fashion, addressing schemes and stuff like that. So and that kind of opens up protocols. So a big potential problem of blockchain technologies arising is that what they want to do is break open the silos, make everything shared. But still, if they can't communicate with each other, then you lose the fact of decentralization and you get silos of blockchain. So there has to be a way to break out of your silo.
And it is your intention that Interledger will make sure that doesn't happen?
It's one of the initiatives trying to do so, because if you have standardized messaging formats, you can, for example, connect these to legacy banking systems, which can, for example, transform their Swift messages into LP messages, and legacy systems can seamlessly, just by a simple adapter, communicate with decentralized technology. And I think that's proven in practicality. Ripple is, for example, using that. And that opens up, that lowers the friction for our current state of the world to adopt decentralized technologies.
Okay. Your title is core developer, so you are a developer. What is it that attracts you personally in all this new technology?
Personally, I'm always trying to marriage technologies. I came from, I once, in a previous life, I studied microelectronics, and then I figured, oh, machine learning and artificial intelligence is nice, so let's combine them. Let's have computers design new computers. And now I figured, oh, blockchain is a new technology. What if we marry it with big data? What if we start to do analytics? What if we do artificial intelligence on top of a blockchain? What will happen then? You get like these smart programs that own themselves, can acquire value. Nobody can stop them. Nobody can control them. It's transforming the world, and the entire IoT, the swarm,
the Internet of Things,
the Internet of Things, the entire swarm of sensors and actuators all come into play, and they connect to the system. They add value, they own value. You can buy from them. You can interact with them.
Now, from recent history, we had a host of DDoS attacks that were facilitated by Internet of Things devices that weren't secure enough. So it does sound a bit scary. What are your thoughts on how that will develop?
If devices have to be secure, devices have to have an identity. How to give a device an identity is a difficult thing. You can do it on a hardware level, try to give it a key, a private key or private identity that's really into the manufacturing phase, or you do it on the software phase and stuff like that. It's yet to be solved. Our current approach is we're not so much leaning towards all the public infrastructure, meaning I can be a miner or validator myself or anonymously. So we believe that federations is an intermediate solution before security is really resolved. It relaxes constraints and stuff like that. So I guess you have to play with the tools at hand and maybe make a few sacrifices in terms of either, albeit accessibility or performance. But, yeah.
So live and learn.
Live and learn,
from the mistakes.
Live and learn.
Okay. BigchainDB is a partner in the Dutch Blockchain Hackathon.
Yeah,
how will you support the participants?
So I'm going to give my talk. I'm going to explain, like, look, we see that there is an application stack. That's going to be one of the things I'm going to show you, is the decentralized application stack. So it should give them structure. We're also giving them a lot of examples of projects that have been working with BigchainDB to inspire them a bit. And then we create a grid of all the things that we have seen happening and things that are still possible. So it's also inspirational. And then during the hackathon days, we'll send 1 or 2 of our core developers. And I guess we can just show them how it works, support them. We try to do our best already just by providing a lot of documentation, a really, really easy to use interface online, so that people that use our product are actually, it looks like using a regular database. Mm-hmm. They're used to using stuff like that. It just has these few cool features that blockchain provides. So,
okay.
So try it. Yeah.
What are nice examples in your eyes of ways that BigchainDB is being used already?
There's a few. And the most noble I found is BenBen. BenBen is it's a land registry in poor countries. They're currently focusing on Ghana. People that have land but don't have the claim to the land cannot get loans. They don't have anything to back up their loans, so they cannot buy new machinery to work on the land and stuff like that. And the government could be corrupted or is corrupted, or there's just no infrastructure. So these guys go to Ghana and they help poor farmers really like get a digital claim that's universally or worldly recognized as their land, so they can go to financial assets and stuff like that.
But a piece of land is not a digital entity. So how do you marry that to a digital representation?
Yeah, so that's technically I don't know all the details, but it's like measuring the land with GPS coordinates and get a representative and a notary and stuff like that all together while measuring the land and putting that in an entry on the blockchain. But
okay,
yeah.
Because I think this would be one of the big challenges to marry blockchain solutions to physical world entities.
Yes.
Is that something that you are working on right now as well?
There is, for example, databases are really good for time series data, and the things that produce time series data are typically sensors, which are real world devices, so they have to be attached to something, so that kind of creates a link. There's companies like Riddle and Code and Chain of Things that actually make the hardware that you can attach to something. Mm-hmm. If you rip it off, the hardware breaks or gets altered, and you can see that's compromised. And that bridges the gap on the hardware level, and that starts sending stuff to BigchainDB, which stores it as a time series data, and that can then be used to unlock assets and smart contracts and stuff like that.
Okay. So if somebody was interested to start working on programming code for the hackathon, where should they start?
They should start at BigchainDB.com maybe, if they want to use our product. I think they should, if you really want to create if you start from scratch, you have to do some ecosystem thinking. Like, do we need blockchain? Or can we use this with typical technologies? And if we need somewhere blockchain, where do we need it? Do we need it on the file system, on the database, on the processing, or somewhere else? Once you figure that out, you'll have to start thinking about what's the functional architecture and do all the business processing stuff like that, and then you map it to technology choice. It's going to be a challenge for the teams to go through that entire phase, but I guess there will be a lot of guidance there. So I hope they'll get some code out. So what we are planning to do is we'll launch a public instance of BigchainDB, so they just have to communicate with an API. They don't have to think about setting up a federation, they don't have to think about launching nodes and all these things. No. Just there is a public API, it's called IPDB, the Interplanetary Database, mm-hmm. Which we would like to see Creative Commons coming on there, everything from patents to intellectual property to copyright rights, all these things. And that's also assets. That's assets, but now they're untouchable and you don't control them. So IPDB tries to give you access control mm-hmm. to your stuff.
Let's see how that works out. Thank you very much.
No.